Alright, so I'm going to deviate from the plans for how to put the tip on the ramrod a little bit. I believe the kit actually comes with a screw. You're supposed to drill a hole through the ramrod tip, through the ramrod itself, and then put a screw in there. To be honest, I don't know where the screw is. I'm not even sure that's what they supplied with it, but I had always kind of thought I'd do something a little bit different anyway. I'm just going to take a piece of brass pin stock. Well, it's not pin stock, it's a piece of 16th inch brass rod. I'm going to use it as pin stock. I'm just going to drill straight through, counterbore a little bit on, or countersink a little bit on each side, and then pin that brass pin in place. Don't know why I'm going to do it that way, it just seems like an attractive option to me. Now if you look, there's a fair amount of tenon here on the ramrod that fits into a socket on the tip. We don't want to put the pin all the way out here because that doesn't give you as much strength going this direction for basically to keep the wood from breaking out if you end up pulling on this for some reason. So I'm going to put the pin back here so where there's more wood in front of it. I've also oriented the growth rings so that they're in this plane rather than this plane, so that the pin is going to go through the growth rings, and it'll be like going through plywood as opposed to going through one growth ring only, and it might just split all of that out. So probably more thought than really needs to be given to the ramrod tip, but I did file the surface down a little bit. This was a really tight fit. I probably could have driven it on because I only took a few licks with a file to get it to be arguably too loose of a fit. Let's see, so make sure that's on tight, and I'm just going to kind of eyeball. I want to put the pin about there, and to give myself a fighting chance drilling into this round surface, I'm going to put a little bit of a nick in there with a triangular file. Could come in with a center punch and do that, but I'll see if I can get away with it just using that little bit of a nick. And it doesn't look like it. Drill's gonna want to walk. Alright, I gotta go get a center punch. Alright, got my center punch. It's really cold here today. It's actually below 0 Fahrenheit, and my center punches and things like that are all in my outdoor shop. I didn't really want to go outside if I didn't have to. So give ourselves a little bit of a purchase there for the... Wait, that tip must be pretty hard material. Give yourself a place for the drill bit to grab a hold. And I'm pushing back to make sure that that's up against the shoulder of the ramrod itself. Clear all the crud out of there. And go through the back side. Alright, now I could have done that probably better and easier with a drill press, but to be honest, it would actually be harder for me to set a camera up where the drill press was. So even though I don't really want to be a YouTuber, I seem to be succumbing to YouTubeisms. So I'm just going to put a little bit of a countersink on that. Rotate it over. A little bit of a countersink on the other side. And I've already cut a little piece of 16th inch brass rod to fit down in there. drill bit back down through there to clean off the burrs. Thor's mighty hammer here. Okay, so that's through. All I need to do is trim that to length and paint it over. You can see I'm a little bit off center there, but you know, ramrod type tip probably doesn't matter much. Alright, so I've trimmed my pin to length. I've got, this is actually a real tool steel anvil. It's a miniature anvil. Acquaintance of mine in the bladesmithing world made a run of these. Actually works at a foundry where one of the things they make, small amount of what they make are anvils. So this is truly a tool steel anvil. I use it. It was made as a novelty, but I use it for setting pins and rivets in the pocket knives all the time. So it'll work really well for this. Now I've got it sitting on a piece of carpeting on a workbench, so it's not going to be real stable. But again, setting these small pins like this is more death by 1,000 blows than putting a lot of force into it. So you can see that actually works pretty well. If I can hit it. Get my glasses on. Yeah, a little bit of a mistake there. Bend that over. A little bit too much sticking out. I bent my rivet over. Worst case is I'll just cut that out and make a new pin. Or I'll just spin it like that. Alright. I don't know if I'm going to fix this one or not. We'll see. I am now cold forging that pin to move the material down to where I want it to be. Here we go. Had my pin a little bit too long and it kind of mushed over and bent, but through some creative hammering I literally just cold forged that material where I wanted it. Okay, so that looks like hell now, but when I file this flush, that pin should be where I want it, and all these little dimple marks will go away. Okay, doesn't look very good right now, but I'll set up and file that, and it should look pretty good. Okay, lighting's not very good over on this end of the bench, but I clamped the ramrod tip in the vise. You can see the kind of the mess I made of that rivet. There, now it looks more or less like you'd want. Flip it over, do the other side. Voila. So now what I need to do is actually file or sand or scrape. I'm not sure which I'm going to do yet. The diameter of the ramrod itself down to the diameter of the tip. And then I think there needs to be a bit of a taper on this overall to get it to fit into the rifle. But we'll clean that up next. Maybe just a quick snippet here to show you how I'm tapering these last few inches of the ramrod to fit the diameter of the ramrod tip. You may be familiar with draw filing, where you would take a file and you pull it down the length of the material. With most normal cut files, you'd hold the tang in your left hand and pull towards you, if you're pulling towards you. Well, I'm just using this, it's really a rasp, and I'm holding my right hand, but I'm holding tang away, and I'm just kind of slinging it here as I rotate the ramrod. And you can see it's making shavings, it's not making wood dust, because we're using the geometry of the file to scrape down. And I'm really just kind of going until I match that diameter of that tip there. And I'm coming back up a little bit because I know that this diameter was a little bit too big to go into the entry pipe in the rifle stock. So once I get this down to where this is all flush, I'll come back with either a scraper or a smooth file and sandpaper or all three, and get rid of these big machine marks that come from using the file this way. But it's sort of like draw filing, only I'm just not pulling it, I'm slinging it like this. Works really well. Well, I finished draw filing and scraping and sanding the ramrod to fit the ramrod tip. What I found is the ramrod's nominally probably 3/8 rod. It's a little over 375 thousandths thick, or diameter. It's probably, it's not round, it's wood, but it's closer to 380, 385. The tip down here is actually about 370. And then this goes pretty far back up into the stock, so I came back up probably a foot or so and tapered it to about 370 thousandths, and that's where it just starts to get tight as it bottoms out, and you can feel it bottom out really firmly against the bottom of that hole. Prior to getting it down to that size, it would just kind of mush to a stop, and you couldn't really tell if it was bottomed out. So that's the ramrod fitted. I still haven't cut the tip here. You can see that's still way too long. People who hunt with these rifles say you should leave about 3 inches out here so you can grab it easy and pull it out. I'm not going to do that. I'll probably do a little bit of target shooting, but this is largely a project to say I built one, more than one. I'm going to shoot an awful lot. So I'll probably come back somewhere flush with the tip, but basically I'm just gonna find something that looks more or less period correct for something that's not going to get a whole lot of field use. So that's the ramrod done.